All right, just doing a quick test. Can you hear me now? It looks like the audio's coming in. Can you confirm for me? This is the joy of doing live streaming. So it looks like on my side the audio is coming in from my metering. That appears to be working now. So I'll let me know in the comments. I know there's a little bit of a delay from when I am live to when it shows up for you. So let me know. I'll be watching those comments. And thank you all for your patience. Hopefully you can hear me now. At least my animations were probably exciting enough that you thought, you know what, Seth's saying something so good, I'm going to stick around. Because if you did, I appreciate you. All right, so let's just see. I'm looking at the comments. And as soon as I see the comments say there's a little bit of a delay, but as soon as I see that the comments are working, I'm just going to keep going full throttle then. I apologize, folks, for the technical issue. Happens sometimes. All right, just checking out, waiting for those comments to pick up. Make sure that we are working. Yeah, you're right. CO16 Spitfire. The Haitians are doing their voodoo on Seth. Maybe there's been a voodoo spell. Okay, great. Okay, we're working. All right. Well, thank you, Kate, my lovely wife, who I got out of bed at this late hour. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the show. I appreciate you all for your patience. And also thank you. Yeah, thank you for the donations that folks made to let me know the audio wasn't working. This is a reminder that we're independent media. Look, there's a reason you're watching me and not Fox News right now, because you believe in the value of independent media. But when you're not funded by Pfizer and you got to do things on your own, you have these issues sometimes. But the beautiful thing is it allows me to say whatever I want to. So, all right, folks, jumping into tonight's show, we're going to be diving hard. So, okay, immigration, what's happening here in America. We have all these illegals coming across the border, right? Now, it's not just we've got, here and there. I mean, we have a weaponized mass migration of people coming into the country. And there's a lot of the aspects that concern me. Obviously, I've been covering the gangs, the Venezuelan gangs specifically, what's happening in Aurora, what's happening in New York, what's happening in, it's really kind of spreading across the nation. I'm concerned about that. But if you look at what's happening in Springfield, Ohio, right? So Springfield is a place that is very dear to me. It's probably 45 minutes from where I grew up. And it's small town Ohio, right? So they had a population of around 60,000 people, and they brought in about 20,000 Haitians, right? So now 20,000 of the 80,000 in Springfield, Ohio are from Haiti specifically. And so we're going to be taking a look today specifically at what's happening with Haiti and looking at, okay, it's easy to look at these immigrants and think, okay, immigrants are immigrants and they're coming in, and you might think, okay, why aren't they adapting to our norms? This is America. But it's really important in this that we have to put ourselves in their shoes, okay? And of course, if people are stealing cats and eating them, and I blame those people, right? Like if I've spent a lot of my time traveling, I've spent a lot of time overseas. If I go to Hong Kong or Taiwan or something, like I have to play by their rules. I have to follow their customs. I try to be very aware of that, right? I'm a guest in their country, and so I don't go and snatch their dogs and eat them. Though if it was China, that would be normal, because it's actually, unfortunately, it's very typical in China that they eat dogs. But let's take a look at that. I want to show you, I just want to show you some parts of what's happening in Haiti. So let me see if the audio is working on this. If it isn't, then, okay, either way. So this is just a visual showing of what Haiti's like. This is in Port-au-Prince, I believe, is where this footage is from. But it's pure slums. I mean, this is the thing, is it is an extremely poor country, extremely poor. Okay. And so this is a video that just is kind of showing just some B-roll of what it's like there. I mean, it truly is the slums. But when we take a look, okay, here's an article I want to just look at to kind of set the stage. Okay. It says, why is Haiti such a mess? So it says widespread corruption and economic stagnation. The poor island country is a mess, but Haiti's problems go beyond low average test scores. So it says, by all accounts, Haiti is still at the roving bandit stage of state formation. The country's previous leader, Jovenel Moise, was brutally assassinated by a group of foreign mercenaries for reasons that are somewhat murky. Their most recent leader resigned after he's unable to return from a trip to Kenya because the gangs had laid siege to the international airport. So according to The Economist, gangs presently control 80% of the capital city, Port-au-Prince. In recent weeks, they've not only laid siege to the international airport, but have also carried out a major jailbreak and taken over several government buildings, right? So think about this. Gangs control 80% of the capital city. This isn't a real country, folks. Gangs control 80% of the capital city. Think about that. It's almost like Washington, D.C., though I think the difference is that D.C. might be 90% of the city is actually controlled by criminal gangs, but it's close. So this is just a little snapshot. Okay, we have to understand, what are these people coming from? Okay, so here's some other little facts I want to run over with you. Okay, so it says, this guy, great post. The fact that Haitian immigrants are eating pets in Ohio isn't even the worst part. The Biden-Harris administration has secretly flown in over 320,000 unvetted Haitian immigrants into the United States. Then in June 2024, Mayorkas gave them special protective status to prevent them from being deported. So this represents an influx of people, sadly, from an inferior culture, and they're bringing their third world values here. So this is like, I had no idea about this. So the average IQ in Haiti is 78. And I did some research on this, and there's some different numbers. Some are saying it's as low as like 70, 73, 78. So for context, it says an IQ of at least 75 is required to be considered competent in a court of law. Now, I'm not judging the Haitians. Like, these people have suffered more than I could ever imagine to have suffered, honestly. Like, they live in one of the worst places to live in the world. And that's not, we're not even talking about the earthquake that hit there, which who knows what caused the earthquake. But then you had the Clintons, you had the Epstein crews going in there and building schools, and there's like human and child trafficking involved. I mean, it's literally one of the worst places to live on earth. So I have a lot of empathy and compassion for these people. But at the same time, they're being brought into our country, and they're being put into our small cities and our towns where, we got used to allowing our kids to ride their bikes, through the neighborhoods, and we let our pets out. And now this is all changing, right? So, but let's just look at the facts, okay? So average IQ is in the 70s. Okay, that says something. So Haiti is by far the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, with a GDP per capita of $1,700. Haiti is the 20th most deadly country in the world, right, with 40.9 homicides per 100,000. Their education system is ranked 177th globally in terms of national spending on education, and their literacy rate is 61%. So almost one in two individuals, almost half the population in Haiti, can't even read. Okay? It has one of the highest prevalences of communicable diseases in the world, and the highest STD and tuberculosis rates in the Western Hemisphere. Now, nearly 40% of Haitians practice some form of voodoo, which involves witchcraft and animal sacrifice, which we're going to be talking about today. Also, Haiti ranked lowest on the Human Development Index in the region of the Americas. So, and there's some charts about that, right, as it relates to America. The point in bringing this information to you is that these are the people that are coming into our communities. These are the people that are been giving, housing and food and money. And, there's a big announcement that they just here's in our post talking about the money that goes to them, right? So this is former Ohio State Rep Kyle Kohler has made shocking revelations about the illegal Haitian crisis in Springfield, Ohio during a recent speech. He said, the Haitian illegals in Ohio are given $600 to $1,600 per month on debit cards through the Refugee Cash Assistance Program. So these illegals in Ohio specifically are being given upwards of close to $2,000, so upwards of $1,600 per month on debit cards. Imagine that, right? For all of us Americans that are struggling to heat their homes and to buy groceries and everything, you've got these illegals coming in, and the government's handing them debit cards with $1,000, $1,200 to go spend on whatever they want to, right? So he continues, says there have been nearly 20,000 Haitian illegals relocated to Springfield, Ohio. The local school system in Springfield now has over 1,600 non-English speaking students enrolled. So Haitians who are nearly 20 years old are being placed in high school freshman classes with 13-year-old kids. I'll read that again. So Haitians nearly 20 years old are being placed in high school freshman classes with 13-year-old kids. Okay, so a man associated with the relocation efforts is renting his 63 homes to 20 to 25 Haitians per home at $250 a month and is giving them local work, right? And this is the whole other part of this all scandal, that the more you dig, the more you realize a lot of these politicians, these people on the board, the city board, et cetera, the city council in Springfield, a lot of them are involved in real estate, and they're renting out their places to these Haitians. So, okay, you're looking at the guy has 63 homes, and there's 20 to 25 Haitians per home at $250 a month. Now, I don't have a calculator in front of me, and my math is not what it used to be, but that's a lot of money. That's a ton of money. All right, so HIV reports are skyrocketing 871% over the last 5 years, and many nurses in the area are alleging it's due to the Haitians being treated. An 11-year-old boy, Aiden Clark, was killed by an illegal Haitian with no license who crashed into his school bus. I'll be talking about that. And then also Springfield residents are reporting missing pets and that Haitians have been caught eating animals in the city. All right, so, but to make this all like grand, it's like, oh, of course our government will take care of us. No, they're not taking care of us. They're taking care of the illegals. So the Department of Homeland Security quietly announces giving $380 million taxpayer dollars to illegal immigrants. So, quote, this is from a video, they're quietly announcing this on the Homeland Security website. So through the allocation from FEMA, they're giving $380 million through the Shelter and Services Program to communities that are receiving a lot of illegal immigrants, including food, shelter, clothing, Medicare, medical care, and transportations to non-citizens. Yet again, the buck has passed the American taxpayer, and we're the ones funding all these illegal immigrants in the United States. So this is one small part of it, but nearly $380 million, nearly $500 million out of our taxpayer money is going to fund stuff like this. Okay. Now it gets crazy. So here's a video. I'm not going to play the video because there's a lot of bad language in it. But so what this guy is saying, there's this guy in Springfield, okay, is that his insurance rates are skyrocketing. So these Haitians, okay, let's go back really quickly. Okay, let's take a look at the slums of Haiti. Let me kind of scroll through here and find, there's a lot of interviews. Okay, let's go look at this. Oops. The slums of Haiti. Okay, you look at this. How many people living here do you think can afford to have their own car? How many people here actually have a driver's license, know how to drive? I didn't check the stat before doing this show, but my guess is that a very small portion of people in Haiti actually own cars. A lot of them have probably never driven a car before. I mean, it makes sense to me to think that if you look at these videos. So if you kind of connect the dots here and realize that these people, these 20,000 people coming in, the vast majority of them probably have never, ever driven a car in their life. Yet all of a sudden, they're here. They don't know our traffic laws. They don't know our societal norms. They don't know the courtesies of driving, right? And so they're wrecking, right? So this guy in this video, I'm just going to fast forward to this part. So what he did in this video is he put together a montage, right? These are all accidents involving Haitians in Springfield in the past couple of years, right? And so there's not that many of them. It's not a huge town, right? So what he's saying is, and he has the pictures and he's going through all this, that there have been such an influx in accidents, like absolutely insane amount of accidents. And like accidents, cars driving into houses, driving into garages, flipping over, hitting school buses. Like this is the reality. So what happened to this poor guy is he's on the phone in this video and he's calling his insurance company, and they've now raised the price of his insurance, his auto insurance. They've raised it, I think he's at over $100 a month. And he's talking to the woman at the insurance company, and what he's saying, well, why is there the raise in the insurance cost? And she says, well, because the cost of doing business in your area has increased. And he asked her, point blank, he's like, is it because there's all these bad drivers? All these immigrants are bad drivers? And she's like, yeah. Right. So this is just one minor way it's affecting the local residents, is that there's so many traffic accidents that insurance rates are skyrocketing for people. And it just makes you think about, it's like, okay, like how is this happening? Who's behind this? And the thing that is really concerning to me is that it was some politician, whether it was the mayor, whether it was the governor, whether it was, a local, city council board or whatever it is, it was people. It was human beings that sold out their own city for money, right? That's what it comes to. They sold out. They sold their city, right? So Springfield, Ohio, beautiful old town that was sold basically. Like, and the thing is that it only takes a handful of people, that a handful of people get rich while everyone else suffers. This is communism, right? That right there is communism. It's the nature of communism. It's a whole town starves to death while the comrade, the party official who's overseeing the town, is living a lavish lifestyle. This is how it works. But that just sickens me, though, to think about that. Like you look at some of these videos that are coming out, these people at these town hall meetings, and they're just like, they're crying. They're saying, what has happened? This isn't the town I grew up in. I've got homeless sleeping in my front yard. My neighbor's cat went missing. My neighbor's chickens have gone missing. And I'm sure that the people just sitting there are just looking through, and that they're so disconnected with their own conscience that it doesn't even matter anymore. It doesn't even matter to them. And so you've got this guy's video, the insurance is going up. But what's even worse though, like, so here's one story, is there's a young boy that was killed. His name's Aiden. And you're seeing this video floating, or the image of this little boy's picture floating around. But so this is just one example, right, of what happens when you let these illegals in, and they're getting cars to drive, and they've got fake licenses, or this guy had a Mexican license, and they've got free access to drive everywhere. Well, they get in accidents. So what happened here, and this is so sad. So there's this guy. So this is in Springfield. Now this happened earlier this year. It says the man who was behind the wheel of a minivan that caused a Clark County school bus to overturn. So actually it happened August 22nd of last year. Caused a school bus to overturn with 52 students inside, killing one and injuring more than 20 others. Was found guilty on Wednesday of multiple felonies. So continuing, it says Aiden Clark, 11, died after being ejected from the Northwestern local school bus that overturned in German Township, which was northwest of Springfield and about 57 miles southwest of Columbus. More than 20 other students who were also on the bus were injured in the crash. So imagine it's a little 11-year-old, a cute kid, gets ejected from the school bus because what happened is this guy, I think it might describe what happened here. Let me see. Yeah, it says, so Joseph, an immigrant from Haiti, had been driving east on Route 41 around 8:15 a.m. when his Honda Odyssey minivan he was driving crossed the center line on the 2-lane road and struck the westbound Northwestern local schools bus that had been headed west. Okay, now he says the sun was in his eyes. Okay, It continues, it said the school bus driver attempted to avoid the collision by driving on the shoulder. The minivan struck the bus on the driver's side, scraping down the side of the bus until it struck the rear wheel, which caused the axle to break. The bus then overturned into a culvert on the north side of the road. The bus was carrying 52 elementary school students on their first day of school. Imagine being that parent working up with your little kids on the first day of elementary school. The first day. And this happens. And you get that call that your 11-year-old boy was ejected from the bus because some guy who probably never drove a car got a free pass to come in the country, was given a debit card with $1,000 on it, was given a place to live, was given free food. And who knows, maybe he was given a car. You never know. And because this guy does not know how to drive a vehicle, he has the sun in his eyes. He takes out a whole school bus of kids, and one of them dies. 20 others are injured. I just can't believe it, folks. I can't believe it that this is happening in our country. This is happening in our America. It just, man. And so continuing, and now then you get into the whole eating of the pets. Right. So now, to be honest, I did some research before I started. I wanted to see, hey, are people actually eating pets? So I went to the most trusted website that I'm aware of, Snopes. So I went to Snopes and I said, hey, Snopes, is there evidence that the Haitian immigrants are eating ducks and geese and pets in Springfield, Ohio? Because the Republican vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance, and a constellation of right-wing influencers have elevated such a dubious claim. So we fact-checked it with Snopes, and of course Snopes says it's unfounded, right? And actually, if you look, there's some other articles. Here's another article, it says, "Dear racists, you eat birds too," right? So here this article is gaslighting us. It's saying racists are furious over migrants grilling seagulls and geese. Newsflash, most Americans eat birds. Ever heard of chicken? So this is a really rotten article that's basically mocking anybody who's saying, look, this isn't right, that they're going down to the local pond and slaughtering Canadian geese. I mean, like, you've got this guy right here. It's like, here's I don't know, like, what's this guy doing with that goose? Is he going to eat it? Or maybe he brought it home so his kids can play with it. I don't know. Maybe he's going to release it in the wild. Maybe he has a pond in his backyard. He wants a goose to live there. Or maybe he's going to eat it. Because his culture, they eat these kinds of animals. There's not a problem with that. There's not a problem that in Haiti, it's common to catch a local bird and eat it because they're very poor. But it's a problem if that person comes to America, right, on the government's dime and goes to the local pond and hunts down these geese and starts eating them. Like, that's a problem, right? It just continues. But it's not just the goose, right? So here we go. Right, this isn't in Ohio, so this is in Nebraska, right? It says 2 illegal Honduran migrants are arrested after shooting down a bald eagle that they planned to cook and eat. As the sheriff reveals, the local community is in uproar, right? So here you go. These 2 Hondurans shot down a bald eagle. It must be a pretty decent shot, and they plan to eat it, right? So this is what happens. Yeah, here you go. Here's Savannah Hernandez, right? Still can't get over this Haitian dude walking around with an entire goose like it's a freshly prepared bag of Chick-fil-A. Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it there. But I want to take a deeper look, though. Like, okay, what's happening with these animals? Because to understand what's happening with the animals, you have to understand the culture that these people are coming from. Okay, so let's look at Voodoo, right? We're familiar with Voodoo. We grew up watching the movies, and they had the Voodoo dolls and the skulls, and it was always kind of scary, right? You never watched a Voodoo scene and thought, hey, that's great. But, I wonder if that's a religion I can convert to. You look at it and you say, yeah, that's the devil's work. I'm going to stay away from that because they're sacrificing people and animals, and they're chanting things. They've got demon possession. You say, I'm gonna steer clear of that. Okay, but Voodoo is a national thing down in Haiti. And here, this is an article. Sorry, you can't see it properly. Here's an article. This is from The Guardian talking about Voodoo. And I just want to read this first paragraph in here. It says, Haiti, the saying goes, is 70% Catholic, 30% Protestant, and 100% Voodoo. This is the saying, right? So it says Voodoo is everywhere in the Caribbean nation, a spiritual system infusing everything from medicine to agriculture to cosmology and the arts. Now, this right here is kind of joking and saying it's 100%, but I've seen a lot of other figures saying that it's anywhere from 40% to 60% of the people there, they practice voodoo. So you have to ask yourself, just as a very honest question, of the 20,000 illegals, Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, how many of them practice voodoo? It's probably at least 7,000, 8,000, maybe 10,000, right? If the common statistic is 40, 50, 60% of Haiti practices voodoo. And that's the thing, is that when you import these people, you don't just import the people, you import the culture, you import the religion, you import the cultural habits, the cultural norms. So again, in a lot of ways, I don't blame the Haitians. They don't know how to, they can't adapt that quickly. I mean, if you've ever been to a foreign country, I mean, you're spending time and you're cautiously watching as you do things. You're making sure you can fit in. But especially if you go to a country that has very different cultural norms than what you're used to, it's not easy to adapt to that culture. So they're coming into our country and they're just living the same way they did live in Haiti. But how they lived in Haiti was a constant fear of rape. It's extreme poverty, where if you see a duck, if you see a Canadian goose walking around, that's Thanksgiving dinner for your family. That's just how it is. But what also comes in with them, again, is their religious beliefs and their culture. And so if roughly, let's just say that 30%, right? Let's just say that 6,000 of those 20,000 practice voodoo. Well, what does that mean? Okay, so let's take a look at voodoo. Okay, and there's some dark stuff, but nothing too evil. I don't like going that too dark. So let's look at this article right here. This is a Slate article, shining light on the voodoo rituals in Haiti. Okay. Now it says, warning, some readers may find these images of animal sacrifice graphic. Okay, so just a warning. Okay, there's like some bloodied animals. But if you look at these ceremonies, and I, in part of my research for the show, I watched some different ceremonies. I researched a little more than what I already knew about the practice of voodoo, right? And so this is a particular voodoo ceremony that was held in a cave. It was in a grotto. So what they do is that they make the request to what you call a loa, or it's LWA, or it's pronounced loa. Loa is kind of the pronunciation I heard through the videos. So if you look through these through the videos here, the pictures here, you can see that there's people gathering in a cave and they've got fire, and there's maybe she's I think she's one of the voodoo practitioners. This woman, no, she's a voodoo follower. After a moment of prayer, they've got their they have different drawings, and here it says that there's adheres a prayer to the grotto walls with a candle during the day of the feast. But you keep going though, and you can see that, okay, so there's a lot of rituals, a lot of seances, and a lot of what we'd look at it and say, okay, it's some form of demon possession, right? That's the best way to describe it. And actually here it says, a mambo, a high priestess in Haitian voodoo, is overcome by a spirit. So it's very common, right? They even talk about zombies, turning people into zombies. It's some kind of disturbing stuff, right? So here's a guy that's beheading a goat in preparation for a ceremony. This is a pig. Looks like they cut the feet off the pig and cut the head off the pig, and they draw these symbols on it. But so what happens though? So it says, depending on the community practicing voodoo, animal sacrifice is an offering to the spirits, loa. Karen said the food is shared with the community after the sacrifice. Blood and sacrifice aren't always the most important aspects of the religion. They also do a lot of other things. But the reality is that, from my understanding, and again, I'm not an expert on voodoo, so I'm not going to pretend to be, but based upon the research that I did, what they do is specifically when they take an animal, okay, and say a pig, And when they hold a ceremony and they sacrifice this animal, they will often eat the animal. It's a way of receiving it's part of the exchange, but it's part of actually tapping into these spirits. And so how it works, the Lwa, or I think it's the Lwa, LWA, that when they do these sacrifice rituals, the whole thing is all about inviting these spirits in. So they can then have these spirits come into their body, and they go through, they convulse, and they talk weird stuff and whatever. And so, but this is part of the process. And so if you think about, okay, let's kind of look at the data laying out here, that we have 20,000 of these Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. According to the research that I've done, it would not be unfair to say that there's a good chance at least 6,000 of them practice voodoo. We've also put together the fact that voodoo practitioners in Haiti, it's not uncommon for animal sacrifice to be part of that process. And it's quite common to sacrifice small household-sized animals, so chickens, pigs, goats, etc. So if you put all that together, and then you come back to the story about what's happening in Springfield, where people had their cats going missing, when people have their chickens going missing. Because I saw a lot of videos of people talking about, oh, yep, my neighbor, they had 6 chickens, they're all missing. Another woman said that her neighbor had a cat. The cat was missing, and she saw them skinning the cat in a tree outside their house. So what we also identified here, though, is that these Haitian immigrants, they're being given money. They're being given food. So they're not starving. It's not a third world country where they're going to starve to death. It's the opposite for them, at least. Well, it's turning into a third world country for everyone else, but for them, the government's just giving them more and more. So they've got their debit card with $1,200 on it. They can go down to McDonald's or the local grocery store, and they can buy their food. They probably are also getting food stamps or some sort of food ration card. Maybe there's even like a meal kitchen. I'm sure that there is. This is something very common you see, like the shelters are being converted, so they're getting their meal kitchens. So I don't think that they're killing these cats and they're killing these geese and these chickens. I don't think that it's because they're starving. Now, maybe they like to eat those animals. Maybe it's just a cultural preference that, it's like, I remember the first time I went to Hong Kong, the first night there, I went and bought a hot dog from 7-Eleven because I was just craving. I mean, it was the first night. It was after being there for a week or so, but I was just craving my own American food. And so I went and got a hot dog from 7-Eleven. It was great, actually. But it may be that they're craving the way that they do things back home, but they're not. It's easy to look at this and think, oh, they must be really hungry, so they're resorting to hunting and they're going to the local pond and killing a goose or something. I honestly, my gut, based upon this, is that these animals that they're consuming it's some part of, for a portion of them, that it's probably tied to some sort of voodoo ritual where they're doing a sacrifice. They're sacrificing a cat or a chicken or a goose, and that they're doing it as a way to talk to the spirits and whatever. I mean, it makes sense. I'm not judging them for it. I'm not saying that they're bad people for this. I'm just objectively looking at the data here and saying, yeah, you put 2, 1 + 1 is usually 2. Okay. But it continues though. So this is, I'll just play this, in the background, this is a voodoo ceremony, right? Oh, sorry, I forgot to pull up for you. So this is a voodoo ceremony. This white woman here is infertile, and someone, I think maybe her boyfriend or whatever, they took her to go see a voodoo witch, a witch doctor, whatever I'm not sure what you would refer to them as. She's looking at her tummy, and she's saying there's some kind of issue. And so you have in part of this, you have this kind of trance type thing happening. You've got the dancing, you've got this weird speaking of languages, kind of some strange stuff going on. And this isn't one that's involving sacrifices, right? You've got this woman that so says the voodoo practitioners tremble when an invited spirit inhabits their body. Then she's saying people should fear nothing about voodoo. I'm sorry. It's like I was raised as a kid and I was taught that there's demons and there's angels. And to me, these things look like demons, right? So here, this is the funny part at the very end. This woman's walking out and it says, the priestess told Lindsay to return for a fertility potion. Now, okay, to make her fertile again. Now, the asking price of the fertility potion was $60,000. Okay, imagine that. So the problem, though, with this is that if you take a step back and you look at this, and this is just part of the culture, okay, this is just, it's ingrained in the culture, right? It's like, okay, if you imagine that you took 20,000 Americans and you took 20,000 Americans down to Haiti and they had their own little colony down there, or you just shoved them into some city down there, they'd probably be practicing Christianity. You have little churches open up and a lot of them would be Christian, okay? And that would be very different in the cultural norms down there in Haiti. But the exact opposite has happened where, again, there's probably thousands of people living in Springfield that are voodoo practitioners. Now, the scary thing with this is that if you look at what else becomes part of this, and this is actually one of my bigger concerns. So as you know, if you follow this show, Michael Yon is someone that I've interviewed quite often. He's a good friend of mine. He's somebody that was literally a cannibal hunter. So before the war that he was in, he was a cannibal hunter. He knows a lot about cannibals. And so I'm going to show you something here that I think is just worth mentioning because, he's someone that I trust. Now, granted, he's a little bit of he's kind of doom and gloom, but it's almost like the guy's seen so much of the world. He's seen so much evil in the world that he knows that doom and gloom is highly possible. So here's what he said. He said, foreign invaders will eat American children. Now, it's a pretty strong thing to put out there, but look, this guy knows. Right? He goes, this is less prediction than observation. Cows eat grass. Snakes slither. Fish swim. Cannibals eat children. He says, cannibalism is far more common than most civilized people realize. He goes, I hunted cannibals before the war. I could find an authentic cannibal within 1 week of today, probably more like 4 days. It's easy if you know what you're doing. Some of the savages from distant lands will eat children. Media will call innocent people racist for calling out the obvious. Notice I didn't make an opinion on cannibalism. I only said cannibals are common and media covers for bringing cannibals into America. There are now many cannibals in America sponsored in part by media, Kamala and her cannibal-loving friends. If media covers up the cannibalism perpetrated by the pet cannibals, the act of the cover-up is evidence media are cultural supremacists and racists. This is actually media acknowledging cannibalism is so bad they must cover up the evil. He says cannibals are cannibals. Cannibals do cannibal stuff. American children and adults will be eaten. It's time for men to do man stuff. And look, this is a concern. I mean, these things do happen. We know that there's hundreds of thousands of children that are missing every year. And if you've been following a lot of the same information I'm following, a lot of those kids actually end up going into adrenochrome harvesting facilities. They get put into SRA, satanic ritual abuse. They get trafficked. They get their organs harvested. I mean, this is, look, it's dark stuff, but this is the reality of our country. This is the reality of what's happening in America right now. And this is why it's so important that more and more of us go back to God and go back to virtue, because we have to take this country that's become, in a lot of ways, quite evil, and we got to make it good again. We got to make America virtuous again. I'm going to make a t-shirt right there, okay? I'm going to make a t-shirt that says, make America virtuous again. Maybe we'll give it away or something. But so we continue, though, because if you're doing research on the whole cannibalism thing, all the media, of course, will say, look, it's racist, and they're using this as an anti-immigration kick. But here's an article. Okay, this is a very, very old article. I don't know exactly. I think it's from like the early 1900s, and I'm not going to go into detail with this because it describes the ceremony that this person witnessed. And it involves children, and it was very difficult to read, actually. But what this is, though, this is an interview with a Haitian refugee published on July 7th. Basically, what this guy is talking about is that it was actually very common from what this person saw for them to have cannibalism. And he describes with he and a friend, they knew that there's some sort of ritual sacrifice that's going to be happening. They went and hid in a tree, and they watched it. And they watched them actually kill and eat a toddler. And they had a fire going around. They buried the bones afterwards, and they did their kind of seance dance. And so that's the thing, is that it's like we talked about what happens when they slaughter a chicken and how they use the chicken and they use it to invite the entities into them and everything. So if you can imagine that there's value in slaughtering a chicken, and if you're worshiping some sort of evil spirits and whatever, again, would you consider it absolutely insane to think that maybe they're also sacrificing people? Right? When there's, and this is just one of many reports. Like if you dig into it, a lot of it's been kind of covered up and everything, but if you dig into it, you can see that actually, that as part of the voodoo, that human sacrifice does happen. If you look over in Africa, you look at a lot of the kids that have gone missing over there, it's absolutely part of that culture too. I think there's also a lot of voodoo and other kind of more demonic, driven belief systems over there too, where there's a lot of human sacrifice there. It's very common for kids or whole schools of kids to be kidnapped, to go missing because they're being sacrificed, or their blood is being sold, or whatever it is. And this is the underbelly of the world that we live in. So this is my concern with what's happening. Is my concern is that the America that we know, the America that we love, is being destroyed. And I know that you're feeling the same thing I'm feeling. I look around, I read these stories, and it's like I grew up in Ohio. I grew up in these small towns. My family was from places like that. Like my dad's family is from Coshocton. My mom's family is from Southern Ohio. And these little towns like Springfield, these are my people. And so when I see what's happening there, and then you realize that it's at the hand of our government. Like, I don't blame the Haitians. I mean, they're honestly, it's their ticket to paradise. They're coming out of one of the worst places to live on earth. And they get to go live in Springfield, Ohio, and get money from the government. I mean, honestly, if you were a Haitian, you'd be insane to not take that offer, to not take the opportunity to go live in America, where there's no, like I said, we read about how like 80% of the government, the capital city, has been seized by gangs, right? And actually the gangs themselves, the gang leaders, are cannibals. There's a video that I found, I'm not going to show it on the show. I found a video of a Haitian gang member with the dude burning. So he's literally, there's a body burning on the street, and he's picking off pieces of the guy's leg and eating them. Right? The guy's dead already. Like the guy's, kind of looks like the burgers I forget about sometimes. And the guy's black as coal, but he's going up and he's pulling off calf muscle and eating it. I mean, these are the gangs that are running and ruling things in Haiti. So for the people that have escaped that, it's like I don't blame them for wanting to come here, but I blame the controllers. I blame the social engineers that are destroying this country, because look, I have a hard time understanding how this can be undone. And that's what concerns me, is how do you, the America that we knew is not here anymore. And I don't know, I hope to God that we'll get it back. I really do, but I don't see a way. Like maybe, Trump's talked about rounding up all these people, but if you're inviting civil war, because a lot of these folks have access to guns, especially some of these Venezuelan gang members. They're not going to just sit there idly and like when they're going to get rounded up by some police officer, it's going to take them back to their country they just got escaped from, like back to their hellhole of a country that they're struggling and suffering. Are they not going to defend themselves? I mean, I just don't see how that's possible. That's why I said. Actually, I think I said it earlier when my audio wasn't working, unfortunately, but I really believe that the only thing that can save this nation is God. Could Trump do some things that are positive? Yes. Okay, there could be some positive changes. But fundamentally, the only thing that will save this nation is God's hand, because it's just so far beyond what man alone can do. But the beautiful thing is that it's us collectively. It's like, to me, what is it that will have God look at this nation and say, okay, hey, I'll save that nation? It's like, we have to make it a nation worth saving. Like, we have to make America a nation where there's virtue again, where it's praised, where the values and morality and faith are commonplace in our society again. We have to get back to that. America needs to be a country that God would look down upon and say, I'm proud of that country. I'm proud of what the people there have done and how they've pulled their country out of Satan's hands. Because right now, it's a pretty dark place. But I have a lot of hope, though, because I see there's a lot of people that are really standing up. There's a lot of really good people, and I meet them. I meet them almost every day. Actually, it seems like most people I meet are actually on the same page as me. I'm going to start wearing T-shirts and going out again, like, make America virtuous again, or make America America again. Maybe I'll start a T-shirt store, right? You guys can buy some T-shirts and you can wear them, because you wear those, you realize that actually, yeah, most Americans are on the exact same page. It's the media that wants us to think that we're all divided. But most Americans don't want this. We really don't. So we have to figure out the ways of coming together. Like, that's the key, is we have to figure out how we can all come together as the American people and save this nation. Because honestly, if we can't come together, if we can't figure out how to get along, if we can't figure out how to look past our differences, even those of us that think that we're right? Everyone thinks that they're right. When you're in an argument, both sides think they're right. That's why there's an argument, right? But we have to extend the olive branch to our neighbors. We have to say, look, we're both Americans. Like, we both care about freedom. We care about our family. We want to raise our kids. We want to leave a country for them. Like, it's like what needs to happen is something that goes way beyond politics. The healing that has to happen in this country needs to go way beyond politics. So anyway, folks, as we're rounding out, I do have a few things to kind of discuss as we're going out. First off, just a quick word, and just it's a question for you. Is are your savings safe? So, folks, with every passing day, the value of the dollar erodes, weakened by overprinting and rampant inflation. So now the BRICS nations, as they accelerate their de-dollarization plan to collapse the dollar, the risk only grows. Imagine waking up one morning to find your hard-earned savings worth only a fraction of what they were. And it's happening faster than you think. But you have a choice. A simple shift, one decision can protect your wealth from the collapse. Moving even a small portion of your savings into gold and silver could be the key to securing your future. Gold and silver have stood the test of time. They're not just metals, they're safe havens, impervious to the whims of inflation and economic turmoil. So while the dollar loses value, gold and silver are standing strong, actually hitting record highs. So the time to act is now, folks. Before the dollar weakens further, safeguard your savings with noble gold. So imagine the peace of mind knowing that your wealth is protected, that you'll have assets to pass on to your children. It's simple, it's safe, and it's something you can do today. So, folks, move your savings and from your vulnerable IRAs and 401ks into the enduring strength of gold and silver, because when the dollar fails, you'll be glad that you did. And there's no better company to work with than Noble Gold. So protect your future. Act now. Call 626-654-1906 or visit goldwithseth.com and fill out the form there to get a free gold and silver investment guide. And honestly, folks, if you look at what's happening, like, everything that we've thought we've held dear in this country has been taken away from us. Our cities, our schools, everything. They're trying to take it all away from us. And of course, they're going to come after our money at a certain point. You go look in the CBDC and all that, they will be coming after our money. And so it's the people that are able to pull their money out of the system that the cabal controls. They control the stock market. They control the banks, right? What they don't control is that treasure chest buried in your backyard or hidden somewhere in the back of your freezer or whatever it is. So this is why I'm a big believer in precious metals, because it's about setting up a future that gives you some security. So again, it's goldwithseth.com or 626-654-1906. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I appreciate your patience with the issues we had at the beginning of the show. I thank you all for being here. Tomorrow night, I'm doing a live coverage of the debate, which will be interesting to say the least. It'll probably be pretty funny to watch. So here on Man in America, we'll be doing live coverage of that. And now we're doing 5 shows a week now. So Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can tune in and there will be a Man in America show. I'm doing a lot of live news shows. I'm doing interviews. We're going to do guest Q&As, all kinds of amazing stuff. So I can't wait to see you then. And again, make sure that if you're not subscribed yet, hit that green follow button on Rumble. And if you're watching somewhere else, please come watch on Rumble, a platform that supports free speech. Unless you're on Twitter. If you're on Twitter or X, good on you, right? You know what's happening in this world now. So, all right, folks, thank you so much. I appreciate your patience. I love you all. Thank you. We've got almost 3,000 people sitting here, right? This is great. So even though we had our tech issues, we still have a great audience. So, all right, folks, thank you. I will see you all again tomorrow night. Take care. God bless. Have a wonderful night.